Where's Miranda Cosgrove? I don't know. From what I've heard, NostalgiaCon at least tried to reach out to her. Maybe she wasn't available or interested. Well, I mean, that's the thing. You can't just assume every cast member from a TV show is going to be at a reunion like this. But here's the thing. Nathan Kress actually has been a regular at NostalgiaCon. Maybe he can help convince her and there'll potentially be a future iCarly reunion like this. But I think everyone could sort of tell that you can't expect Jeanette McCurdy to be at that one. Seriousness, please don't come in here just to leave some negative comments talking crap about Drake or anything like that. There is no need for that kind of thing. Not right here, not on my channel, none of that. We are here to celebrate the legacy of the show. Like the legacy, like how this show is still talked about, quoted, meme, and everything about, after 20 years. That's what we're here to celebrate. This is what NostalgiaCon wanted to do for the fans and people that grew up with the show. Like, let's just celebrate the legacy of the show and put all of that negativity away, out of here, please. That's what I ask you for. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and it's quarantine time!
Guys, we're happy to have you all in the same space. When was the last time you guys all linked up together?
Christmas movie? No.
It's Christmas.
I have no idea.
Huh?
When was the last time?
I don't know if it's been over a decade.
It's been a while since all of us were together.
Yeah.
But we've done it in little groups.
Little groups.
Okay. Let's make sure all these mics are okay.
It was my album release party!
Oh!
Yes!
Right.
Yes. At the Peck.
It was my album release party, I think. It was the last time. Oh, you weren't there?
I didn't get invited.
Is that true?
I
Uh-oh.
didn't get invited.
Ooh.
That is not
I
true.
will talk to you later.
That is not even remotely true.
Mama didn't get invited. Dude. So everyone here it grew up with you guys. Yeah, you guys all know the show, right? Right? Yeah. You can hear the noise, man. So much love in the building for you guys. And it didn't just start on Drake and Josh. Like, you guys got the show. First of all, these guys, their characters are named after them, man. That's huge. That's a huge thing. But you started on another show together, right? It was the Amanda show, right?
Yeah.
Including Nancy.
And Nancy was on there with us, yeah.
Dude, these guys are real legends in media, Nickelodeon, for sure, dude. That is so wild. So you guys did like a pilot for Drake and Josh after the Amanda show thing? How did that all come to be?
Well, Nancy and Drake were on the Amanda show from the beginning, and I came in during the second season. And I think like Drake and I first met, I was very intimidated by how cool he was, and I was sort of the new kid. And so, but after a while, we just sort of hit this stride, and we did this sketch on the Amanda show called Tony Pajamas, where I played like his sidekick. And then basically we, thankfully Nickelodeon was looking for a buddy comedy. So we were those buddies, and then it was just natural that Nancy would be our mom, of course. She was so great.
Yeah, that was really exciting because I worked on the 2 seasons of the Amanda show with Nancy. That was a fun show. She did all these crazy, wacky characters. We were able to just have so much crazy fun. And it was interesting going to Drake and Josh, and then every episode just seeing Nancy so normal, like not like running around like, can someone turn my mic down just a little bit? It's really hot.
Let's turn that down a few dBs, see if we can back there.
Yeah.
Drake's mic.
Couple Drake bells.
There we go. Nice.
Thank you.
Hey.
So can I interject?
Yeah.
Being the adult on the Amanda show, like I was tortured every single episode because the kids are always right, So I was thrown out windows. I sat in a bathtub full of supposed to be cream and mushroom soup. It was cold water, and I was a Judge Trudy. And then it just falling out windows, getting hung from the ceiling.
I remember one where you there was smoke or something coming out.
Yeah.
I remember we had to cut. We had to like stop filming.
I had this. It was one where I was eating a hot donut or something.
Yes.
Cookie.
A cookie. It's something.
Anyway, somebody probably knows something. And I had this smoke ring around my neck, and it went up, and I almost passed out. And I had to see.
Yeah.
You fell down though once.
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous show.
It's a dangerous show. But yeah.
And fun, really fun.
But that was a lot of fun. And then so we all had a history of working together, and then we were approached. We were doing a sketch. I don't know if you guys remember. We were fighting over a shrimp. And
Classic. She knows.
and in the script, it just said, a shrimp falls from the sky, Drake and Josh fight over it. And there's no dialogue, there's no anything, that was just kind of this little thing. And so they said, okay guys, you know, someone throws the shrimp, looks like it falls, and they're like, okay, now fight over it. We're like, okay. And we just fought over it and started making stuff up, and he's like, I don't want to ruin it, say the line you didn't say because it was really funny. But anyway, there was a lot of improvising, and we were just doing our thing. And one of the writers leaned over to the executive producer and said, hey, you know that buddy comedy that Nickelodeon's looking for, look at the monitor, like there's your buddies right there, you know? And so he got the idea to spin this off and write a show for us, and came to us, and we're like, hey, do you guys want to do, you know, your own show? And I think in the back of, of course, in the back of my mind, especially I think being on a show called The Amanda Show, I was like, okay, so that's just the first step to the Drake Show, you know? So that's the logical next step. So when we got the opportunity to do our own show, it was really exciting.
That's epic.
And fun fact, they tried some different titles with the pilot, like Steps.
Yeah.
And we were like, nah, like, Drake and Josh.
I was like, those are cool, but like, his thing has a ring to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Drake and Josh was the better choice for sure. That's wild, man. So I guess I want to ask, were there any moments on the show that were like your favorites? They could have been like the most chaotic moment behind the scenes, or just something that you liked to watch play out on screen? Any big moments that you guys recall?
I liked it when they brought the sheep in. And in fact, people don't know, they originally had a kangaroo because they needed an animal that had a baby, and these animals have certain seasons that they get born. So the kangaroo came in and trashed the place.
What?
Because you cannot train a kangaroo. The trainer said, what are you, crazy? You can't train a kangaroo. So they had to like rewrite it, and it was called Sheep Thrills, right?
Yeah. Well, I thought about that yesterday, Josh, when you were talking about Turner and Hooch. When we were like talking about working with the dog, I was like, oh man, remember the kangaroo? You know?
The kangaroo brought down the set, and then the sheep was cute and docile, but just pooed
Everywhere. Every 2 seconds. It was like,
like, okay, cut? It's a sound of affection.
It sounded like a hose all of a sudden. There she goes.
yeah, the kangaroos are in trouble.
usually I
So that
take
was
like a big cast photo at the
episode
end.
with the kangaroo, and that was. We had to set up. Remember, we had to set up the trash cans.
Alright, cool.
Like, we had a border because it would just bounce off the set, so we had to like keep it wrangled. We're trying to do dialogue.
Jeez.
We're trying to do dialogue, and there's just this kangaroo bouncing and trying to escape the set.
Wow.
And
So don't get a kangaroo.
Yeah, that just
Don't get a
didn't
kangaroo.
work out.
That's legit. Okay. Now look, we're at Nostalgia Con. Anime is huge here. You guys like anime? Yeah. What about you guys? Any anime fans up here on stage?
I like Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan. Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one.
I mean, I just appreciate, I feel bad because today, as people have come over and been so nice, but I'll appreciate like this gorgeous artwork on your shirts and on your hats, and I'll be like, oh, I love your hat, and you'll be like, do you know what it's from? And I'll be like, no. But it's beautiful, stunning artwork, so I'm just appreciating the art of it. I love it.
Yeah, you know, I've been a fan of cartoons and animation, comic books, and you know, all the nerd stuff for my whole life. But that's just one. I think you guys, when you come up to the table, if you guys are like anime fans and you like know your stuff, like give me some suggestions that like are the ones that like, okay, people who aren't anime fans, this is what's gonna get you into anime.
I was told.
I need those. I need those suggestions.
I was told Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, I do love it.
Is
Actually,
it
Cowboy
starring?
Bebop is awesome.
Can you tell me that?
Okay, I like Cowboy Bebop a lot. That's considered an anime?
That's
What
what
do
I
you
told.
consider it?
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
Is Yu-Gi-Oh anime?
Oh yeah, yeah. There we go.
Respect.
That's that big one. What about One Piece? Any One Piece fans out there? Yeah. Oh, I see you, homie with the Luffy hat. There we go. We out here. Tight. Nice. Now, you guys have always been like crazy with the comedy, right? And all the Nickelodeon shows kind of followed you. Like our show, Declassified. I was looking up to you guys, trying to copy. Okay, what's Josh doing on this episode? I'm gonna try to incorporate something into it, man. How much of it was scripted versus improv? Some of that stuff looked like fresh out of you guys' mind.
I would say probably 90% was scripted.
Oh.
But you know, to the credit, we always had great writers, and many of them have gone on to be in Chuck Lorre's camp and like have gone on to do proper huge network shows. It was good. Like you kind of had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to refine it through rehearsals and run-throughs. So even if on a Monday the joke was a 6, by Wednesday they had figured out how to bring it to a 10. And so it was really great. But I felt like once we had it in the can, if we had been trying something over the week that would make us laugh, but we didn't really want to show anyone yet, we'd be like, just give us one for fun. Let's try it out. And sometimes that made it.
Yeah, that definitely. But I agree with Josh. I think that, and it definitely at a certain point, I think the writers got our voices so well that I think that's why it seems so natural. Like it's like, oh, this just seems like just coming right out of their heads because we were so comfortable with each other, and so it was like working with Josh. It was like I didn't even have to. You didn't have to say anything. Just give me a look and like, oh, okay, I know how you want me to do this. Okay, I got it. Oh, I'll do this differently. And I felt like we were just like all flowing, and so it feels like that when you watch the show. But yeah, it was a lot from the writers. The writers were just really great.
Yeah, the writers
really lucky.
I just want to say this. It was really interesting. I was sort of the new guy more than anybody else. And the first episode that we shot, it was, I was very, very nervous. He was lovely to me. We had a scene together and he like calmed me down, like this, like little kid. I was like, calm down, old man, you'll be fine. It was really lovely. But the writers were like up in my business right away, and they were asking me questions I felt so important. They were really like trying to get information out of me to find out who I was, so they could write for me. And they were like, so when you were a kid, what were the characters that you watched that made you laugh? So Walter became sort of the me version of Don Knotts from the Andy Griffith Show. Because I made the mistake of saying, oh, I love the Andy Griffith Show, I love Don Knotts. Because he was so goofy and sort of, you loved him, but he was kind of stupid. And, well, there's Walter. So, it was really, there were moments where you could pitch ideas and they were open to it, but man, it really was the writers who really made the funny, and they made it by figuring out who everybody was. So that was really cool.
Yeah, we had really, really great writers. I met Dick Van Dyke one time, and I was raving to him about how much I loved the Dick Van Dyke Show, and I get it because when I watched the Dick Van Dyke Show, I'm like, Maury Amsterdam, like, these jokes are flying out of his head, and he's such a brilliant, fast-witted comic, and Dick Van Dyke is so natural in these things, but he was explaining to me, like, every single word out of our mouth was from Carl Reiner. Like, we didn't make none of that, and like, we were just following a script. Like, the reason you love that show is because Carl Reiner's writing was just so impeccable, so that
You're cutting yourself short, though, because you guys, seriously, like Josh was saying, like the week would go and it would get funnier. It was the chemistry between you two. And you brought it. When you start out on a Monday, you sit around and you read a table read, you read the script. And so you read one thing and it's like, okay, and by the end of the week, the colors and everything you brought to it, like you guys were just such a natural comic team. It was insane. And it was magic. And here's my finest work as the mother, as the straight.
Well, the funny thing also is, she and I didn't have much. We would. So I have a question. I have a question for Drake and Josh. When did you memorize your lines? Because we would show up. They'd like have the bulk of it. Nancy and I would have like 3 or 4 lines, and we'd be like stressing over remembering our lines. We got.
Speak for
And
yourself.
these guys would roll in, and they were off book like the day before we were supposed to. They
You
just.
two especially, you always pissed me off.
It was
Just
it was
looked at it.
natural.
And it's hard. It's hard too because you. I think a lot too was you would come in, you'd be like, oh, I gotta work. I was a lot of looking up to Josh when I was working. But can you, is that?
Step
That's,
up. There we go.
there we go. It's so there we go. Totally lost my train of thought. Where was it?
Saying how much you look up to me.
Oh yeah. 'cause, no, about being on book, but no, Josh, he took this stuff really seriously with acting and stuff, and so I would, I would come in and he would be so prepped and ready and everything. So it was a lot of that, and but it was hard because we would get the script on Monday. We would do a table reading, then we would do a run through on Tuesday, and we would want to be off book because if you're not off book, you're walking around showing the writers with the script in your hand. You're not really, it doesn't really give them what they want. And so you want to kind of be off book, but then the next day, you get an entirely new script with new jokes. And then you want to be off book for that run through, but then on shoot day, you get a shoot script with entirely new jokes. And so you're like, do I need to memorize this? So it's tough working on a show and having them change the scripts throughout the week.
Throughout the week, they're putting out changes. So this is interesting. I want you to fill the audience in. You guys were doing a live audience? No. But you guys did rehearsals throughout the week. Like, what was your filming schedule like?
Because Nets was single camera.
We were single camera.
So you shot all week, huh?
We shot all week, but we didn't do we would do rehearsals like right there on the day, but all week we're shooting. But you guys you had days of rehearsal and then.
Because of the sort of standard 4-camera sitcom, Monday you would do a table read and rehearse. Tuesday you'd rehearse and do a run through for all the departments and the writers. Then they would go back as soon as you were done and they'd work for 4 or 5 hours and take out something that didn't work and improve jokes. Wednesday was a repeat of that. And then Thursday and Friday. And I kind of think it's amazing and exciting when you do it in front of a live audience, and that adds a different layer. But what was kind of great was we had Thursday and Friday and like no pressure. So sometimes what we do is 7, 8, 9 takes of something that normal sitcom rules, you would just like do 2 or 3 takes and move on. But we'd have the time to refine it because we weren't worried about people in the bleachers being like, bro, I gotta go pay the babysitter.
Also what we had in the audience were kids. And so, like on the Amanda show, our live audience were kids. And so you have to follow, you can't keep a live audience if you're going to see a show like Full House or something. You can keep a live audience there as long as you need them because they're adults. But with kids, you can't keep kids there for a 5-hour shoot, 6-hour shoot. You gotta get through it.
They would also yell out random stuff and ruin a take.
Yeah. So it allowed us to really just have the freedom to get the best of what we
And
wanted.
the one time we had an audience, I was very excited about it. But I noticed they kept on giving the kids sugar. So it was like, they would give out treats and stuff like that. So it turned into, we shot for that first episode, the bathroom. There was that pool with the chocolate.
Yeah, chocolate.
Did
we still have live audience in that episode?
It was one time.
No, we had it for like a couple episodes because the bed was like.
It's memorable.
No, son. No, son.
On the Amanda show, you have to get the audience warmed up, right? And so they have the professional comedians who are really funny and warms up the audience. And my friend Anthony is here, who used to be the warm-up guy for the Amanda show.
What?
Yeah.
Give it up for Anthony, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Can you stand up? Oh, no, he's got a bad knee. He can't stand up right now, guys. But that's it.
It's a testament to 25 years later. So obviously the cast, but the crew, you know, it just it's very cool.
Yeah. Show. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what the bummer of when a show ends, because you know you're like you've made all these friends and family and everything, and you're not going to be together, you know. So, but it's you know, we all there's members of the cast and crew that we talk to on a weekly basis that we're still, you know, 25 years later, we're just still amazing friends and very close.
It's epic, man. That's epic. You guys did. You came onto Josh's podcast recently, and that was huge, man. So big reunion. Who's watched the podcast? Who's seen Josh's podcast? Yeah. Okay, a couple more. You guys get to watch it.
David's got a pretty epic podcast too. You guys.
Yes, you guys got
Yes.
There we go. But you guys were able to come together, and yeah, you came on our podcast too, man. We love having you. But
Tim, I was on your podcast.
Jonathan as well. So we only got one. Nancy. What's going on, Nancy?
I wasn't invited.
Oh, I'm sending that invitation. Consider yourself invited. So guys, I want to know this. Are there any like catchphrases that you have people just throwing out at you when you're out on the street? And what is it?
my favorite story is I was once going through TSA at the airport, and I hand my ID over, and this guy's looking at my ID, and he's like, "You good?" And I'm walking by, and he goes, "Pip, pip, doodly doo." Just drive by, pip, pip, doodly doo.
Dang, drive by what? Okay. TSA, right?
I think one that the catchphrase that makes no sense to me whatsoever, but it's like the biggest thing in English, in Spanish, in all like translates. It wasn't even written as a joke. Okay, and it's a scene where guy comes in, he's robbing the Premiere Theater, and the theater thug, and he's like, "Give me the money, I ain't playing." And I'm like, "Whoa, take it easy, man." And then they're doing a reenactment on like an FBI's Most Wanted show, and they pick me to be the actor to play myself, but they pick Josh to play the theater thug. And so Josh goes in, he's like, "Give me the money, I ain't playing." And I'm acting because now the cameras are here, and I just decided, I was like, well, since I'm acting, I'm just gonna be like, "Whoa, just take it easy, man."
Yeah.
And like just do bad acting. And it was just a choice that I made to do the line that way. It wasn't like it was written, Drake does bad acting, or the producer said, "Oh, do it this way." I just did that.
Choice.
Huh? Oh, I just did it because it was like, oh, let's make Drake be a bad actor, you know? And that line has lived on. I have people coming up to me every day. I walk the streets of Mexico. "Oye, tranquilo, viejo. Oye, tranquilo, viejo. Hey, oye, tranquilo, viejo." I'm like, that wasn't even a joke. Why is that funny? And then here, "Whoa, just take it easy, man. Hey, could you wait? Whoa, just take it easy, man. Hey, could you tell my cousin, whoa, just take it easy, man?" I'm like, "Whoa, just take it easy, man. How is that a universal joke that wasn't even meant to be a joke? It's crazy." Like, if you took all of the catchphrases, Josh, all of the jokes, and like put them on a wall, and we're like, okay, pick out the ones that you think are going to be the most popular in the future. Like, "Whoa, just take it easy, man," wouldn't even be on the wall. But so that's a really interesting one that like blows my mind.
Bro, it's a huge meme.
It's a massive meme here in Mexico. It's like the most famous meme. People put it on T-shirts. They put the meme on the T-shirt. It's crazy.
You guys know mine, right?
Hey.
It's one word, mispronounced. Touche.
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 Touche. Touche follows me around.
Here's mine.
Hey, that's the one. That's legit. Dude, yo, so Josh, I think it's great that you were the guy who, I guess, you were shown prepared with those lines. You're a pretty witty guy. You then became a physicist, right? You went on to become a physicist.
I played a physicist in this little movie called Oppenheimer.
Little movie, Oppenheimer, bro, come on, dude. What was that experience like, man?
Thank you. It was great. I mean, it's a very small part, but actually I was there for 2 months.
2 months?
Yeah, in New Mexico, and go for it.
Oh, nothing. You're just very humble. If I sneezed in an Oscar-winning film, you wouldn't hear the end of it.
Jeez, bro.
It was an honor. It was incredible to be there, and being around someone like Christopher Nolan. It's like a great honor of my life. And my favorite story is there's a scene where Matt Damon's there and he's playing this character who's really got this proper military officer. And we're all walking by him in this scene, and he's got to be really annoyed at the scientists and pissed because we're taking too long to come up with a bomb.
Yeah.
And so we're walking by him in the scene, and I remember I look at Matt Damon, and he's just kind of like scowling at me, and all I thought was, oh, that's very believable. It's like, very good, Matt Damon.
Good Lord.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, I probably shouldn't be thinking about that in the middle of the scene, but it was kind of nice to be an audience member in my own part.
That part. Dope. That's dope. And then Drake, man, you mentioned a little bit of Spanish here. The Spanish means you've been in Mexico. I got a chance to attend one of his concerts. Thousands and thousands of people, man. And you rocked the show. How has that experience been?
It's awesome. Just put out a new album and been making records.
Non-stop flight. Everybody download it right now on your phones. I'm telling you, it's lit.
And yeah, it's been awesome. I'm on tour right now. We leave tomorrow. We head back out, and it's awesome. That's what I love to do. I mean, getting up on stage. I mean, stuff like this too. Being able to actually meet the fans and see the fans. Interact with everybody that's energetic. That's what was fun about doing the Amanda show with the live audience. Was gives that live energy. I've always loved being on stage and getting that instant gratification from the audience. Oh, that joke worked. Oh, they love that song. Okay, they're laughing. All right, that works. You don't have to wait for the editing to see the theater with an audience, or shooting a show like Malcolm in the Middle, not getting to see how the audience is reacting to your jokes. So I've always loved that. So being on the road on tour right now has been a blast.
Yeah, that instant feedback.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Dude, I'm telling you, he moves like Elvis out in Mexico. Of course, here, he gets that treatment too, but that was wild. Pueblo, Mexico was lit, guys. Dude, so
You want to leave?
I didn't want to leave, and I drank too much, so I had to leave that last night. I was like, yeah, somebody get me out of here, man. Get me out of here. But yeah, we had a blast out there, bro. Music. Has music always been a thing? When did you start music? And not only just that, this guy gets up here, he's an impresario, he's playing the piano, he breaks out the guitar, you probably get on the drum set, I haven't seen him do that, but when did you know?
Well, actually, I started playing drums when I was a kid, but drums were way too hard. It's such a hard instrument. But I loved it. And then I also didn't want to be in the back of the band, and I also wanted to start writing music and stuff, so I did an audition for a movie where I had to pretend to play the guitar. I didn't know how to play the guitar. So I bought a French guitar, and then I booked that movie and got the opportunity to work with Roger Daltrey from The Who, and that made me fall in love with I already was in love with music, so getting to work with Roger Daltrey, I had already known The Who and all this stuff, so that made me fall in love with, wow, I can actually create music and make music. And so from that movie, I just immersed myself in the guitar, never left my room, played 15 hours a day, just non-stop, never left my guitar. And then started putting little bands together, started writing music. Fast forward, short story long, I got the opportunity to put some bands together, play around, and then when I got to do the Amanda show, I got to introduce my music to the producers of that show. They let me perform on the Amanda show, and then when Drake and Josh came around, I got the opportunity. They asked me, would you like the character to play music? Would you want him to be a skateboarder? What? I'm like, no, he's a guitar player. He's a guitar player, singer-songwriter, of course. And before we had that meeting to talk about the character, they wanted to talk about the character. I was like, I'm gonna write a theme song. Yeah, like 14, 15. Yeah, I'm gonna write a theme song for the show. Never written a theme song.
But anyway, went with a buddy of mine I was writing music with, and spent all day. Couldn't come up with anything, so we're thinking of like the greatest theme songs. And the days go by. Greatest songwriter of all time. What are we trying to do? So we stopped that. Said, hey, let's just try to write a song. And that song turned into I Found a Way. Presented that to the producers, and they were like, "Oh, that's our theme song." And that gave me the opportunity to really like present my music to the world, and then wrote other songs throughout the course of Drake and Josh. And that's
I'm trying to think, but nostalgia is such a crazy thing. Sometimes I'll have these like flashes. You played the guitar on a couple segments on the Amanda Show. Who's the guy?
Yeah, I was totally Kyle.
Totally Kyle. Who remembers Totally Kyle? Totally. It was dope, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What was cool too is like getting to know you from the beginning and watching you evolve as a musician. Like, you know, now it's 100,000 people in Mexico and these huge venues. But like, even when you were 14, it was like, it could be for 3 of us backstage by the craft service table. Like, the love for music, the love of playing and performing was there. Like, that was so clear. So we knew that it would become something big because it was pure. It was a pure love. It was really cool.
Oh, well, yeah, it shines through, bro. I remember on Declassified, we got a tune for guitar because we were like, oh, Drake's killing on the guitar, man. We gotta pick it up. Me and Dev, and we were out there practicing, man. So it was dope.
And that's a cool thing about Drake and Josh. Seeing so many kids, so many people. I've had instances where there's like new bands that I love, and I've gotten the opportunity to play a festival with them or interact with them somewhere. And this is a band that I love and respect, and like I'm like, dude, these guys are. I wish I could play music like that. And they come up to me and they're like, dude, I started playing guitar because of Drake and Josh. I'm like, stop it. Like I was talking to Steven Sanchez, one of my favorite singers right now, and he's like, dude, you're my favorite singer. Like, you're amazing. He's like, dude, my first memory of music is me trying to sing your songs in the car with my mom. I wanted to be a singer because of you. I'm like, bro, I can't even close to how good of a singer you were. First of all, and second of all, you're my favorite singer in the world right now. It's like, it's just crazy. So having that opportunity to have these kids come up and like, you sing the guitar, like I started playing with you, it's been really, really cool.
Legit, man, legit. All right, and we're at NostalgiaCon. There are like games here too. A lot of game artists and things like that as well. Last of Us, Josh.
Yeah.
Who saw the cameo? It was lit, right? It was dope to see our boy in some military gear. What was that experience like?
It was amazing. It was an honor to get to be there for. I'm good at short bursts apparently, and well, it was cool because I auditioned for it, and then I got the part. It was kind of like this 2 or 3 page monologue, and I remember a day before filming. This was 2 months after I booked it. I realized I hadn't gotten any revisions to the script, and my stomach dropped. It's like you guys have heard this whole time. Like, they're constantly changing, constantly getting updated, and so I show up on set, and the creator of the show comes up to me and he goes, what would you have thought if I changed everything on you last night? And I was like, I was worried you were going to. He's like, nah, I don't work that way. Also, you're closing the Drake and Josh loop for me. And it turns out Craig Mazin, the brilliant, executive producer, creator of The Last of Us, was the writer-director of Superhero movie. And so, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
What?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So that was his first movie that he ever directed.
Wow. So you did
wrote the movie.
And a good friend of mine was the director of the York First, Chris Koch.
Chris Koch, yes. Snowday.
Okay, that's real nostalgia. That's wild. How was that experience? Like, do you recall?
Snowday?
Well, yeah.
It was great. Oh my God, it was amazing. I remember I would go audition, and I remember at 12 years old, I'm like in like my elementary school plays and whatnot. But like I loved acting and I was really committed. And I was like this level of talent is not gonna cut it. It's like, because little Jimmy is not on his mark. And they were like, I'm in 3rd grade. We're doing a cosplay of PS Sporting. And I was like, this is Pippin. And so I was like, I would watch Nickelodeon and go, clearly there is a roster of people doing this professionally.
Okay.
So I would go to Nickelodeon like twice a week and audition for a showcase for a commercial, something, right? And I booked this movie, Snowday, and I remember they called on a Friday night and they were like, you got Snowday, we're flying you and your mom to Calgary, Canada on Wednesday, like, hope you have your passports ready. I'm like, I don't have a passport, like, you don't need one to go to New Jersey. You know, I've never been out of the country, and that changed, you know, that was what kind of brought me into Nickelodeon and got me on the Amanda Show. Yeah.
Calgary was where I shot one of my first movies. Yeah.
Which one? What question?
The Jack Bull. Cold Calgary.
Bro, I went to Calgary once to teach an acting. What, me and Jonathan, you guys don't know, me and Jonathan have traveled the world teaching acting classes.
We have been around the world.
A little bit everywhere. A lot of times in Australia, bro. Like,
Australia.
Me sometimes.
Switzerland, he's been in Dubai with them. Belgium as well, yes sir.
Were you in New Zealand?
I didn't do New Zealand. I didn't do New Zealand. It was
good.
good.
Around, yeah.
But I went to Calgary, dude. It was like negative 30 degrees. It was the coldest I've ever been in my life. Yeah, crazy. Dude, you know what? I guess the next question that I have is, if you had to switch roles with each other, how different do you think the show would have been? Do you think you could have played a slacker musician? And do you think you could have played a really like locked in, you know, overly educated nerd? If that sums you up. It would have been the same show.
Play Josh. No.
It'd be a little more believable me doing it now.
And I think if Nancy and I had switched roles, it would have been seamless.
That would work.
Yeah, better.
I can see that.
We do that.
Yeah, I can see that.
How would you be Nancy at doing the weather?
I would keep my clothes on. Do you guys know what my name was in the show?
Audrey.
Audrey.
Audrey? Yeah.
They didn't say it in all 4 seasons. It was Audrey in the script on paper, but I was Mom, Mrs. Parker, Honey, Sweetie, or like I just had a lot of different names, and they put it in the very last show. Like an actress walked by and said, "Hi, Audrey," and it didn't really have anything to do with anything, but the whole room started laughing. They cut it because of her time, because we were long.
Cut it.
But it was just like this little gift that I got. It was so cute.
I think fans have found, and I might be wrong, but I think I remember fans finding it written on something.
Script,
No,
yeah.
no, not on script, like something in a scene. Like it was like a notepad or like the props had made.
Did you
Like
have it
they were like-
tattooed somewhere on your body?
It might have been.
Yeah.
No, but somewhere like in like on a table or something, it was like Audrey grocery list or something, like the props had
I
made.
did not know
And
this.
they zoomed in and they were like, there's the name, yeah.
That's legit. That's legit. Okay, that's good. A little trivia. Let's see. Audience. Did you say snowstorm? Snowstorm is the answer here. Is that correct?
No, that's absolutely incorrect.
That's incorrect.
We live in San Diego, bro.
So it wasn't a snowstorm?
No.
Okay, so you're gonna hear the real answer here.
I think it was a hurricane.
Your head's covered.
It was a hurricane.
Oh, it was a hurricane.
Have you ever seen the show?
It was a hurricane. Yeah, I've seen it. Didn't see that episode.
We live in San Diego.
Damn. So no snowstorms in San Diego.
No.
Yes. It's a good place to move if you don't like
Unless it was
snowstorms.
cheese.
Ah, well, maybe a little
Did you
cheese.
understand that reference?
I don't miss that one.
You've never
I missed
seen
it.
the show.
God dang it! I gotta dive in. I gotta do my rewatches. Turn up, okay.
Crazy Steve puts cheese in a wood chipper and sprays it all over our lawn to create snow. And Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh.
You guys seen that episode? Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh? Okay, nice. Who knows what the movie theater was called that Josh worked at? The premiere. There we go. Can we see a couple of the premiere attendants here?
We got some
Stand up and show yourself.
Get this guy a gold vest.
Can we have a large popcorn, please?
Nice. All right. So we got music going now. Do you have any new albums that you're working on outside of Nonstop, or are we pushing that for now?
Well, we're working on new songs right now that'll be coming out soon. So I've been back in Mexico working with some people, doing some stuff out here. So we got some stuff cooking, but right now touring, and then probably later in the year, summer, fall, some new music.
Keep stuff going. Nice. Josh, the podcast, any new guests that you're excited for? Or do you kind of just pick them up as...
Clearly.
Hey, that'll be a good episode.
No pressure.
No pressure at all.
None at all. I'm trying to think. We have coming up this month in June. We have Chase Crawford from The Boys from Gossip Girl. We have Rainn Wilson. He's good.
Nice.
He's coming on. It's cool to see. Like, I always feel like I get in if they watch Drake and Josh because they have like some nostalgia for it. Like, I gotta ask one of my favorite stories is, Kid Cudi is a fan of Drake and Josh.
Of course.
Which I didn't know because this was years ago, and I was at some club on Sunset because I'm awesome. And I go inside and I see a buddy of mine, Brian Greenberg, who was on a show, great actor, Brian Greenberg. He's on a show with Kid Cudi, and I'm like a massive fan. And he's like, yo, let me introduce you to Kid. He's great. Like, let me introduce you. I'm like, no, don't bother. You know how like famous people are. Like it's like when you see the cops on the street, like you just like, let me just not make eye contact. Like, let me just make sure I'm going the speed limit, you know? And so he's like, no, he's good people. Go over, meet him. So I'm walking up to him, and I go to shake his hand, and he goes, I love Drake and Josh! I was like, thank you. I was like, I love you, Kid Cudi. He's like, call me Scott. I was like, I don't want to. And so he's like, yo, like, take my number down. Like, we should chill. And I'm like, okay, dude, but like, if this bubble comes up green tomorrow, I won't be hurt.
Yeah.
And the next day, he texts me, and he's like, yo, what's good? What are you up to? I'm like, nothing much. What are you doing? He's like, I'm about to go shopping on Rodeo Drive. And I'm like, I'm playing Xbox in my friend's basement, so samesies, you know? And he invited me to come listen to his album and talk about Drake and Josh for like 3 hours one night.
What? That's dope.
Yeah, it makes no sense. But so maybe if I see him, I hopefully he'll come on the pod.
Yo, that'd be lit. We gotta send this video. Somebody's recording right now. We gotta do that. Dope, man. Okay. So, Drake and Josh, the namesakes of our childhood. Timing-wise, we're good. We got a little bit more time. You guys kicked off many careers, right? You got Jerry Trainer. You know, he did his thing, Crazy Steve. Then went on to iCarly. Well, first of all, Miranda Cosgrove. She got her whole show, the iCarly thing. Did you guys ever feature on there? You guys ever make any like cameos or anything?
iCarly? Oh, I came in and did a blooper. Yeah, I came and visited one day, and then the producer was like, go on and ruin the scene. So I just kind of walked in and messed around.
And I
ended up on a blooper, but you did too, didn't you?
Yeah. On the reboot, I came in and played her manager, Paul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which was awesome. And you, Johnny, directed it?
I directed some episodes.
I wasn't invited.
No, Nancy.
2 days later.
We gotta get you in.
We talked about you a lot, though.
Oh, okay.
You were
In that
referenced
case.
constantly.
Yeah, you were Andy Warhol.
I was dressing like Andy Warhol once for Halloween, and so I hit up the great Michael Johnson, who did makeup on so many of your favorite Nickelodeon shows, and I was like, hey, would you mind doing my makeup a little for, just so I look like legit? He's like, yeah, but we're shooting iCarly, so come down to set. And I came down, and one of the writers was like, why don't you just go in the background and just be Andy Warhol in this scene? And some people have figured it out, even though I do not look like me.
That's legit, man. That's legit. So there's so much like lore behind iCarly and its like spinoff, talking about you being her brother, but you were not her brother in iCarly.
But isn't it? What's the
Because you
lore
played
with
the manager.
Spencer?
Well,
Isn't there?
It's
There's
the lore with Spencer.
oh, so okay,
and
okay.
Crazy Steve.
The lore is that Spencer, Crazy Steve, went really crazy and kidnapped Megan, and kidnapped Megan and took her to Chicago and
Seattle.
Seattle. Seattle.
We're getting these cities wrong today.
And then take it away.
But he kidnaps her and then like brainwashes her to not remember where she comes
Right,
from.
and he played, and then he becomes her brother Spencer, and she's Carly, and it's an alternate universe. It's kind of, that's some dope fan fiction.
Do you guys
I always had I wanted. There's an episode of, I think the greatest ending of ever any TV show of all time is the Bob Newhart show, and Bob Newhart had a. So Bob Newhart was a comedian who had a show back in the day, and it was really popular back in like the 1970s. And then he had another show that was like where he played a completely different character, another thing.
Whose name
called
was Bob?
Newhart. Called Newhart, where he had a new wife, a different wife. It's a completely different show. Well, at the end of that show, the very end of Newhart, they're lying in bed, him and his new wife, the new show, whatever, and they go to sleep. Then he wakes up and he's in the bed of his original show with his original wife, and they wake up together, and she leans over and she goes, "Are you okay? Hey, what's going on?" He goes, "Oh, sorry, I just had the strangest dream. I was an owner of an inn," and then he starts explaining his new show, and then and he goes, "Yeah, it was so strange." And he goes, "Oh, Bob," and they go back to bed. And it's like the entire show was a dream, and that was from his original show. So I thought that was one of the brilliant endings to a TV show. So I always told people I wanted iCarly to end with us going, Megan, wake up, we're late for oboe practice. And she wakes up on the Drake and Josh set going, "What? Oh, God, sorry, I fell asleep. I just had the weirdest dream. I had a webcam show. What's that?" And she wakes up and it was all a dream, and then we had with Drake and Josh taking her to oboe practice.
Didn't happen.
Daniel, I'd love to know, how did you guys come back for the pod? Like, what was the impetus for that?
Ooh, the Declassified podcast. Man, we've been having a lot of fun on that thing. The impetus, that was Damon, man. That was kind of his, brainchild.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted to, he definitely wanted a platform to kind of, speak to people. He's all about, throwing his heart out there and letting people know where he's at. So he's like, I'm going to be able to give people this. Of course, the reboot mattered to him for a while. Like, we were pushing that whole reboot crap. I'm saying crap, but we were working with Paramount a bit on it, and they had inquired and said, okay, if you could show us a little bit more about where this audience is, that they're still into it and have the fervor. Because Devin was feeling like, we're out here, people are always coming up to us, they remember us and they want tips. So he wanted to help adults survive the same way that we taught kids how to survive. And he called me up and, I was like, dude, I'm doing the college thing. I don't really know if that's what I want to do. I kind of took a backseat. I've been directing things. That's more my goal. But I was like, you know what? You're my dog. If Lindsay's down, I'll do it. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna call Lindsay, figure it out. We hit up Lindsay, she said she was with it, and so, we really rekindled. But we had gone our separate ways, man. But reuniting was a beautiful thing. And when we were on the show, we were so locked in on it being business. It was great to really just find out, these are my friends, and we have such a connection that I don't want to leave in the past. So it's been a beautiful thing for us.
Awesome.
Yeah, man, but we out here. Now, guys, this has pretty much been our show. This has been the Drake and Josh panel. Give it up. Nancy Sullivan. All right, Jonathan Goldstein, Josh Peck. and Drake